Humanity is undergoing an evolutionary process of consciousness, the progressive activation of your light body, an energetic field that serves as your vehicle, and it's for dimensional ascension. This vehicle has a name. Perhaps you've heard of it. Merkaba, two interpenetrating tetrahedrons. They form a star tetrahedron around your body. 55 feet of sacred geometry that should be spinning near the speed of light. In most people, it remains completely still. 8 cells at the center of your body have never died since conception. They hold the blueprint of everything that you can become. At the 10th level of activation, you exist wherever you want, whenever you want. At the 12th, the universe implements any decision you make. This is biology, operating at frequencies that we were taught to ignore. The Merkaba reconnects you with higher multi-dimensional frequencies. It has always been there. You just forgot how to turn it on. There's a quote I like to think about once in a while. The spiritual quest is the cruelest irony, spending your whole life searching for what you never stopped being. Truly ironic. There's something around your body right now, a luminous field that expands several feet beyond your skin, invisible to ordinary eyes, but as real as the bones that are holding you upright. You were born with it, and somewhere along the way, you forgot it existed. I've dedicated my life to mapping this invisible territory. The angelic realms, the custodians, have helped me to arrive at these answers. I serve as a conduit for the teachings of Archangel Uriel. In my central work of what is a light body, I've learned to be able to describe a light body as a multi-level energetic field that extends our consciousness through a holographic model, a functional structure connecting what you call self to dimensions that your rational mind can't even conceive. This describes a rare soul exchange, a sacred agreement, a consensual transfer of consciousness, where the original soul departs, allowing a high frequency presence to step into the physical vehicle for a specific mission. Some call this channeling. But in this narrative, the human personality becomes a willing instrument. And this explains some of the bizarre anomalies that have surrounded my life. The focus was never on me as a person, but strictly on the transmission of knowledge itself, allowing it to come through. When I first came across this whole understanding of the light body and the Merkaba, I couldn't stop thinking about this because it means that souls have literally spent their whole earthly life ignoring the vehicle that could take us beyond everything that we know. Your physical body, you know it pretty well. You can touch it, you can see it in a mirror, you can feel pain when something hurts. But the light body, it operates at a different frequency. It responds to thoughts, emotions, and intentions. When activated, it functions as a transducer of high voltage from higher dimensions into something that your cells can process. Like, have you ever gotten chills for no apparent reason? Ever walked into a room and immediately knew something was wrong before any visual information confirmed it? Have you ever woken up at 3 a.m. with unexplicable clarity? You know, like if something greater was trying to break through. These are those moments when your light body is more active than usual. Moments when the membrane between the dimensions gets thinner. Your body recognizes what your mind hasn't learned yet to interpret. There are many ancient traditions that teach you that we can transmit. A window where opposing energies like masculine and feminine, light and shadow, spirit and matter are being forced to find the balance. And that balance happens inside of us and outside of us, in that surrounding field around the physical body. That is the energy that is anchoring us to the higher frequencies. So maybe just stop and take that in for a minute. The energetic field that you carry has a practical function. During the process, traditions call it ascension. This field becomes the literal transition vehicle for the soul. And this happens while you're still breathing, walking, and questioning. Real electrical current connect the field to your cells, to your DNA, to all the coded data you've carried since conception. When the light body begins to activate, these currents intensify. You feel tingling, waves of heat, sensations of expansion that the conventional medicine can't explain. This kept me up late at night for quite a while when I was really first starting to investigate this. These teachings I speak of are described as assisting in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual healing. But it goes beyond healing. It reveals gifts that were hidden, talents you didn't know you had, perceptual abilities that seemed reserved for saints, mystics, gurus, and monks. And perhaps most importantly, it reveals your soul's purpose, gives you concrete directions, not a vague concept. We spend so much of our time searching for purpose in all the wrong places, in career, relationships, material achievements, while the answer was encoded in the field surrounding us waiting for us to learn how to listen and remember. The light body radiates luminous energies and electromagnetic connections to your multi-dimensional self and to the infinite universe. You literally function as an antenna, and the quality of your signal that you receive or send out depends on the state of your field. When we live in fear, the field contracts. When we carry unresolved trauma, the field distorts. When our beliefs limit our perception of what's possible, the field responds and also limits what we can access. And the reverse is also true. When we raise our vibration through healing old wounds and expanding what we believe is possible, the field expands. It clarifies and begins functioning as it was designed to do, to be used as a portal between what you are now and what you can become. This era combines opposing energies in perfect balance, a union that activates light and protection around the body and transports consciousness to higher dimensions. This biological potential is available to everyone willing to remember. And that's the key word. Remember. You don't need to build a light body because it already exists. The vehicle is already there. The visual is to help you understand. What you need to do is to recognize it and consciously begin activating it again because the field exists. You carry it. The only thing left to do is decide to not ignore it anymore. Inside of your body, at the exact geometric center of what Eastern traditions would call your root chakra, there's a structure of 8 cells. And these 8 cells formed at the moment of your conception and have remained identical ever since. They've never divided, they've never been replaced, and they've never died. They're there now, exactly as they were in the very first instant of your physical existence. And around these cells is a geometric shape that spins in silence. The ancients called it the Merkaba. The word actually comes from an ancient Hebrew language and breaks into 3 parts. Mer means light, Ka means spirit, and Ba means body. Mind, body, spirit. Your Mer is your light, and your light is within your mind, within your thoughts, in your pineal gland. That's where you activate all of this. Together, they form something like the spiritual light body, or more precisely, the light vehicle that transports spirit and body through dimensions by the will of the mind. When I investigated the origins of this knowledge that I was being given by Uriel, I found traces in unexpected places. Ancient Jewish mysticism, especially the Hekalah, describes visions of ascent to celestial palaces, where this geometric form appears as a transport vehicle between the realms. The texts are over 2,000 years old. The Merkaba, that structure, consists of 2 tetrahedrons, 4-sided pyramids that interpenetrate, sharing the same center and vertical axis, but pointing in opposite direction. One points up, the other points down. When you look at the shape from above, it resembles the Star of David. That symbol most people recognize without understanding truly what it represents. And this fascinated me when I began to study. The Star of David isn't just a religious or cultural symbol, it's the two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional structure that exists around the human body naturally. The two interlaced triangles that we see on the plane are the shadow of the spiral for more complex spinning in space. Drunvalo Melchizedek, who spent decades studying this geometry, teaches that the Merkaba field of the human body is approximately 55 feet in diameter. He describes how the two tetrahedrons aren't stationary and that they spin. One rotates clockwise and the other counterclockwise. And this rotation creates a specific electromagnetic field that can be felt and even eventually controlled. What makes this disturbing is that humans didn't invent this shape. It appears throughout nature, in crystalline structures, in the geometry of water molecules, in cell organization, it's in plant growth patterns. The universe seems to have a preferred blueprint, and the Merkaba is one of its fundamental expressions. Now stop and consider what this means. If this geometry appears spontaneously at every level of creation, from microscopic to cosmic, then we're not talking about an arbitrary symbol someone invented. We're talking about a signature, a structure the universe itself uses repeatedly because it works. The Melchizedek teachings that I have learned describe the Merkaba field as the blueprint from which your physical and subtle body forms from. Science will teach you that it is the toric or vortex that is necessary on a planet at each pole that creates the planet and holds it in place. Your life journey and your soul's purpose manifest through this geometric matrix. The light body isn't a shapeless cloud of energy. It has form, and that form is the Merkaba. Each of the two tetrahedron structures have a different function. One is associated with the mind and spins in one direction. The other is associated with emotions and spins in the opposite direction. When these two rotations are in sync, something magical happens. The field stabilizes and begins functioning as a vehicle. We've carried this structure since birth, but in most people, it lays dormant. The tetrahedron exists, but it doesn't spin. Or if it does, it spins so slowly that the field never gets fully activated. It's like having a car with the engine off. The structure is there, the potential exists, but nothing moves until the engine is started. Merkaba activation involves getting these fields to start spinning at the correct speed and ratio again. The Melchizedeks teach that when the mental tetrahedron rotates 34 times, the emotional tetrahedron rotates 21 times. This specific ratio creates harmony between the fields and allows the vehicle to function. And if you would like to learn more, you can take my classes, and I will teach you exactly what I have learned through the Emerald Order of the Melchizedek. I personally spent weeks trying to understand why these specific numbers. And the answer I found truly impressed me. Because 34 divided by 21 equals 1.619. That's the golden ratio. The proportion that appears in nautilus shells, in the arms of spiral galaxies, and it's in the structure of DNA. Again, the same universal signature. The light body transcends space, time, and dimensional reality. This is the promise that's contained in the ancient teachings about the Merkaba. When the field is activated and spinning at the correct ratio, it literally functions as a transport vehicle. Consciousness can move through it to access dimensions that normally remain invisible. One aspect of the Merkaba, it activates every cell in the body to a specific magnetic resonance and reestablishes a higher connection with the creative light of Source. What this means in practice is that field activation isn't just a mystical experience. It produces real physical changes. The cells respond, the body changes. This sacred geometry exists around you right now, waiting to be recognized and activated. That shape that spins in silence has always been there. Since the very first moment of your existence, encoded in those 8 original cells that never die. So the question is, are you going to let it keep sleeping? If you're hearing this, you've probably felt strange things in your body that you couldn't explain. Headaches that appear out of nowhere and disappear without reason. Extreme fatigue followed by periods of inexplicable energy or burning sensations at specific points in your body, usually where traditional chakras would be located. Blurry vision that comes and goes. How many have had that? Here's a good one. Ringing in your ears that the doctors cannot diagnose. Maybe you thought you were getting sick. Or worse, maybe you thought you were going crazy. But you're not. My channeled teachings through Archangel Uriel assure me that you're not going crazy. And I've also learned through Uriel that there are 12 distinct levels of light body activation. And each level brings specific symptoms, real physical transformations, and a progressive reorganization of how your body processes energy. What you interpreted as illness or imbalance might be the exact opposite. They could be signs that something within you is waking up. This was powerful for me when I first encountered this information with Uriel. The idea that there's a map for these symptoms, that they're part of some coherent process and not random breakdown, completely changed my entire perspective. At the first level of activation, something begins to happen in your brain. The number of synapses begin to increase. Additional connections form between your neurons, allowing impulses of a different nature to pass through your brain. Most people experience this as temporary mental confusion or difficulty concentrating, maybe even a strange sensation that your thinking is reorganizing itself. At the same time, your metabolism speeds up and the body begins releasing accumulated toxins, whether physical, emotional, or mental. It's common to feel these flu-like symptoms at this stage. The second level brings something more intense. The etheric blueprint from the sixth dimension begins flooding the body with light, and old energetic structures start to dissolve. Many people report reliving past experiences over and over in their mind. And sometimes that's even from lives that they didn't consciously remember. Past life experiences begin to show up. Karmic memories emerge, all so that it can be processed and released. This can be overwhelming emotionally if you don't understand what's happening. That's the purpose of this video. Now, at the third level, something disturbing occurs. Your physical senses deteriorate. Your vision becomes blurry. Your hearing may seem muffled, and smells may diminish. But it's only temporary. After a small period, it can last, a couple of weeks. It returns, but now it's different, sharper than it was before. You start to perceive things that were always there, but remained invisible. We go through the first three levels many times without noticing the pattern. And then we attribute these symptoms to stress, poor diet, illness, or maybe even simply aging. But the truth is, the body is being recalibrated to operate at higher frequencies. The fourth level marks a truly decisive shift. Your brain chemistry begins changing significantly, and the body's electromagnetic field alters its configuration. The mental body fully activates and becomes infused with light. Many people experience intense headaches at this stage, especially in the temple area or right at the back of the head. This is where the brain hemispheres are learning to synchronize in a new way. Now, at the fifth level, something subtle but profound happens. The mental body begins recognizing spirit. Your beliefs, your attitude, and your thought processes undergo automatic reevaluation. Things that you believed with absolute certainty start seeming less solid. New understandings arise without you being able to explain where they even come from. It's a period of destabilization that can be mistaken for an existential crisis. The sixth level is where you begin to actively and consciously change the reality, the images in your perceptual field. What once seemed fixed and immutable reveals itself now as malleable. Many people describe this as the sensation that the world is less solid, less definitive than it seemed before. And at the seventh level comes the emotional blockages, the ones you've carried for decades, perhaps lifetimes, will all begin to emerge. Memories will come flooding back. So this is a period of intense purification, where you express your divinity and vastness. But first, need to clear what was blocking that expression. Old emotions surface, seemingly from nowhere. Traumas you thought you'd overcome reappear. All of this is for one final processing. Levels 8 and 9 both bring something extraordinary. 3 small crystals that are called seed crystals. They activate in the etheric body. These crystals begin receiving what the teachings call the languages of light, which are geometric and tonal patterns, or in scientific terms, scalar waves, that carry information from higher dimension. This is where you begin to truly get downloads. This is a structure called the crystal cell recorder. It contains vast amounts of information that accumulated countless times by all of the lives that your soul has lived. All of the incarnations across various planets and even other star systems. They begin to become accessible. I know I spent days processing this type of information when I became aware of all of my past lives. The level of detail, the internal coherence of the system, the way each stage prepares for the next. All of it points to precise mapping of a real process. Earth has a divine plan that includes 12 light body activations for the entire planet. We're going through this collectively, and the symptoms that so many people are experiencing right now without explanation are part of this planetary mutation. Your body is changing its fundamental structure. It's becoming less dense, more capable of processing light as an energy source. It kept coming back to the same thought. If the map was always there, who decided we shouldn't see it? There's a moment during deep meditations when something strange happens. A sensation of electrical current rushes through the body quickly, as if somebody flipped an internal switch. Tingling runs up the spine. Your hands warm up, and for a few seconds, you feel something that can only be described as energy moving through you. Most people may dismiss this as an effect of breathing or their imagination. But the Melchizedek teachings about the light body offer a completely different explanation. Your cells are learning to process light as an energy source. I know, to some this sounds impossible until you understand what actually happens. At a cellular level during this activation, the DNA that you carry in every cell of your body isn't just a genetic information archive. According to the Melchizedek teachings, it functions as a biotransducer system designed to decode and work with energies from higher frequencies, transmitting these energies to the rest of the body and eventually to the planet itself. When the light body activates, something changes in how your cells respond to light. The mitochondria, those structures inside of cells, you might remember from biology, are classed as energy powerhouses. They begin recognizing light as a valid energy source. And when this happens, they produce more ATP. That's the molecule that carries usable energy for all bodily function. This fascinates me. I love this information. The idea that this physical marker of spiritual activation would be something as concrete as ATP levels in cells connects two worlds that we normally would keep separate. The cells begin absorbing larger quantities of light as usable energy. That's why so many people in the awakening process report that sensation of an electrical current that rushes through their body, especially during meditative practice. ATP rapidly converts light into energy, and then it transmits it to the physical body. You're literally being fed by frequencies. The body's meridians, those energy channels that acupuncture's mapped for thousands of years, they take on an expanded function during this process. They begin feeding energy from the oversoul directly into the cells, into the energy rotation points, and the cells respond by producing specific frequencies of color, sound, and light that are released back into the system. We function as antennas and transmitters simultaneously. We receive the frequencies, we process them, and we emit them back out. Human body is an energy transformation station. What happens with DNA during this process is even more extraordinary because the Melchizedek teachings describe activated DNA, which is what I teach in my classes, how to activate this DNA and the 144 fire codes. It begins sending beams of specific frequency, like an internal laser, to decode incoming information. First, beams of a blue frequency scan the received light and instantly decode all of the information that's contained in that blue band. That's amazing. Then beams at the red frequency do the same with another layer of data. And then simultaneously, beams of multiple colors flood from the activated DNA, working in sync to process the complete flow of luminous information. Stop and consider what this means for our view of the human body. We were taught to see the body as a biological machine, as a set of chemical processes that eventually wear out and stop working. But this view ignores entire dimensions of what the body really is and what it can do. The DNA we carry contains genetic material from every species on Earth and holographically encodes information about all collective human experiences. It's a living archive, constantly receiving, decoding, and transmitting. During activation, this archive begins releasing information that's been laying dormant within you, memories that aren't yours in the individual sense, but part of a larger field that you belong to, abilities that seem to appear from nowhere, knowledge that you didn't consciously learn that suddenly became available. I was impressed by the technical way of this description when I studied this. It's not vague language about energy and vibration. It's a detailed model of how the physical body interacts with non-physical frequency, with specific mechanisms and observable results, which I love. The light entering cells during this process. It's ordinary visible light. It's what traditions call higher light frequencies that carry the information beyond the spectrum that our eyes can capture and see. When your cells learn to metabolize this light, something fundamental changes. The body becomes less dense, more responsive, more capable of sustaining states of consciousness that once seemed absolutely impossible to maintain. That's why so many spiritual masters throughout history seemed to radiate something. You're glowing from the inside out. It wasn't a metaphor. Their bodies were literally processing and emitting light at frequencies that other people could perceive, even without vocabulary to describe it. The cellular transformation occurring during light body activation, it's not optional for those incarnated at this time. The entire planet is going through this process, and every human being is responding. The difference is whether you'll go through it conscious of what's happening, cooperating with the process, or resisting without understanding why everything seems so strange. Your cells have already started learning. The question is whether you're going to pay attention to what they're trying to show you. Until now, we've talked about what happens inside of you, the light body, the Merkaba, the activation levels, the cellular transformations. But there's a larger dimension to this process that most people are completely unaware of. You're not doing this alone. No one is. There's a geometric structure surrounding planet Earth right now. A network of energy and consciousness extending approximately 60 miles above the surface, formed by precise geometric patterns connecting all human beings in a unified field. The Melchizedek teachings call this the Christ consciousness grid. When I first learned of this concept, I must admit, the word Christ made me hesitate. It seemed too religious, too loaded with specific association. But the more I investigated, the more I realized the term points to something much larger than an individual religious tradition. Christ consciousness, in this context, refers to a specific level of human consciousness and its evolution, a stage where separation between individuals completely dissolves and the perception of unity becomes the dominant experience. The grid surrounding the planet exists to support this collective evolution. Working as a grid worker, I help to continue this power grid and its stability. It's the energetic infrastructure that is allowing humanity to take this next step in our evolutionary leap. The geometric form of this grid is extraordinary. It combines 2 of the 5 platonic solids: the dodecahedron with its 12 pentagonal faces, and the icosahedron with its 20 triangular faces. When you connect the centers of the dodecahedron's pentagons to their points using additional lines, you create what's called the stellated dodecahedron. That's the shape surrounding our planet. I know, sounds complicated. But Plato, over 2,000 years ago, actually described this geometric shape as the ideal body of the cosmos. He understood that Platonic solids weren't just abstract mathematical shapes, but the fundamental building blocks from which reality structures itself. The dodecahedron, in particular, was considered sacred because of its proportions that contain the golden ratio, that same mathematical signature that we find in the individual Merkaba. The grid is anchored at 2 main points on the planet. One is in Egypt, where the Great Pyramid stands, and the other is in Morea, in the French Polynesian island near Tahiti. These 2 points form the central axis around which the entire structure is organized. And across Earth's surface, where the grid lines intersect, we find the places that traditions have always recognized as sacred energy points. When you map the correspondence, you will be astounded to realize the power sites that cultures separated by oceans and even millennia independently, allegedly, identified. Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, Mount Kailash, the Egyptian pyramids, coincide with nodes of the planetary geometry. These cultures supposedly had no way to communicate, but they all pointed to the same places. Perhaps because these people resonate differently than us. Perhaps because the grid can be felt by those who pay attention. We're all connected to this grid right now, whether we know it or not. The Schumann resonance is one way to measure this energy grid. Every time someone activates their individual light body, it strengthens our collective grid. And you will see results in the Schumann resonance scales. Every time someone raises their vibration through genuine healing and consciousness, or the expansion thereof, it contributes to the larger field. It's a ripple effect. The process is individual, yet collective simultaneously. We're symbiotic to each other. The Melchizedek teachings describe the Christ grid as encouraging evolution toward a specific type of human being, one that's conscious of their presence, open-hearted, operating with a higher degree of fluidity and integrity. The grid doesn't force anyone. It supports. It facilitates. It makes possible what was once extraordinarily difficult. During these levels of 8 and 9 of the light body activation, something interesting happens in relation to this grid we spoke of. The seed crystals, the ones that activate in the etheric body, they begin receiving languages of light directly from these higher dimensions through the grid. It's as if you gained access to a radio frequency that always existed, but your equipment couldn't pick it up before. This crystal cell recorder, that structure containing the information from all the soul's incarnations across various star systems, begins synchronizing with the planetary grid. The information that you carry individually connects with information from the collective field. Memories that seemed personal turn out to be shared. Patterns you thought were only yours appear in thousands of other people that are all going through the same process. We were never alone on this journey. The illusion of separation was useful for a time. It allowed the development of individuality, of unique identity. But now, that phase is ending. The grid surrounding the planet is activating, which is actually increasing in intensity as we speak. And every person who awakens to their own multidimensional nature strengthens that field for everyone else. That's why you're hearing about these concepts at this specific moment. The information is being released because the time has come and the grid is ready. The question is whether you'll recognize your place in it. You're not an isolated piece trying to evolve alone against all odds. You're a node in a living web of consciousness, one that surrounds the entire planet, connected to billions of other nodes, and supported by a geometry that existed long before any human civilization ever arose. The question isn't whether you belong to this grid. You already do. The question is whether you'll awaken to this connection and use it consciously. We've reached the point where most people stop being able to follow. Not because it's too complicated, but because what comes next challenges everything we've been conditioned to accept as possible. When your Merkaba is fully activated, it forms an energy field around the body. Like I said before, around 55 feet in diameter. The two tetrahedrons that we discussed earlier, they begin spinning at extraordinary speed, close to 90% of the speed of light, to be exact. And according to the Melchizedek teachings and those of Archangel Uriel, something incredible happens. Something emerges, an energy disk at the base of the spine, extending about 55 feet in all directions. The teachings describe the disk as the ascension vehicle, designed to transition you into your complete light body and to assist you in attaining higher levels of awakened consciousness. And no, this does not mean that you die and leave your physical body and become a spirit. When active, this field takes your consciousness directly to higher dimensions, not the physical body. This deeply disturbs some people trying to understand the implications, because what unfolds is a series of precise changes inside the body and its energy field. We're talking about a functional vehicle for crossing dimensions, a real time traveler. Full Merkaba activation can be achieved through various methods. The methods I teach through the Melchizedek lessons are one. The Melchizedeks developed a specific technique that's known as the 17th breath meditation, where each breath serves a precise function. The first 6 balance the polarities of the body's electrical circuits. The next 7 re-establish prana, the flow through a central tube that runs through the body from the top of the head to below the feet. The final breaths activate the rotational field that create the vehicle. Prana, the vital energy of Eastern traditions. They've known for millennia. It serves as the fuel for the Merkaba. Through learning these breathing techniques, you can raise it by activating Kundalini energy at the base of the spine. And then this energy amplifies through the currents that are circulating around the light body. It feeds the tetrahedron's rotation. But technical activation is just the beginning. What happens at the final levels of light body activation go beyond anything we could call normal. At the 10th level, you manifest what the teachings call avatar abilities. This means you exist exactly where you want to exist and when you want to exist there, meaning teleportation and instant manifestation become possible because you achieve full consciousness of being one with source, and being everything simultaneously. The separation between you and the rest of the universe completely dissolves. Stop and absorb what this means. We spend our entire lives believing we're trapped in a body or a place or a specific time. The final activation levels reveal that this prison was always an illusion. The physical body continues to exist, but it ceases to be anchored to limiting beliefs. including limiting where your consciousness can go. At the 11th level, something extraordinary happens. The universe recognizes you as a master, not as an honorary title or social recognition, but on an energetic reality. The entire cosmos respond to you differently, treating and supporting you as someone who has completed the evolutionary cycle that was intended for this dimensional level. And at the 12th level, the decisions you made at the 11th level become fully implemented. You choose your role in the continuity of creation. Some opt to remain to assist others. Some choose to move to completely different dimensions altogether. The choice is genuinely yours. And the Merkaba vehicle allows it to manifest in any way you choose. I spent weeks contemplating these possibilities when I first learned this. The idea that there's such a detailed map of the complete path, from the first confusing symptoms of awakening to total mastery over space and time, suggests that someone has already walked this path and left us instructions. We're in the middle of this process right now, whether you recognize it or not. The planet is changing. Our bodies are changing. And the Christ consciousness grid is strengthening. The only variable is how consciously we will all participate in this transformation. Light body and Merkaba activation require consistent practice. It requires regular moments of silence where you can connect with the greater intelligence that's permeating everything. The ancients knew meditation wasn't an optional luxury. It was the fundamental technology for accessing expanded states of consciousness. Today, tools exist that can accelerate this process, including the classes that I teach. I have workshops. I have a PDF. You'll have lifetime videos to review, and you'll have 24 access to me before, during, and after taking courses with me to learn how to activate and unlock all of your full potential. I look forward to working with you, and I look forward to creating the world we will all live in together.